It sounds insane at first. Women only want men who don't care about them. Your gut reaction might be, that can't be true. But the more you've lived, the more you've seen it play out over and over again. The guy who worships her, does everything right, treats her like gold, she gets bored. The guy who keeps living his life, stays focused on his mission, and doesn't bend over backwards to please her. That's the one she can't stop thinking about. This isn't about being cold or cruel. It's about understanding a very real part of human nature. People value what they can't fully control. When you make a woman the center of your world, she stops seeing you as the center of hers. But when you stay centered on yourself, your purpose, and your standards, she feels the pull of your independence. Picture a cat and a piece of string. If you hold the string in front of it all the time, it loses interest. But if you move it away, make it unpredictable, suddenly it's obsessed with catching it. Attraction works the same way. Consistency in your character draws women in, but being too available in your attention pushes them away. By the time we're done here, you'll see why caring less about winning her over often makes you the man she wants the most. And you'll understand how to do it without playing games, faking confidence, or becoming bitter. This is about stepping into the kind of presence that women can't ignore. 1. Caring too much kills attraction. One of the fastest ways to lose a woman's interest is to care about her more than you care about yourself. It might sound harsh, but attraction isn't built on over-attention and constant reassurance. It's built on balance and mystery. When you make her the center of your world, you strip away the very tension and curiosity that fuels desire. Men often think showing more care means showing more love. And while that might work in theory, it often backfires in reality. When your attention is endless, it starts to feel less valuable. People naturally value what is scarce and earned, not what is guaranteed, no matter how they act. The problem isn't caring, it's over-caring. Over-caring looks like dropping your priorities to be at her every call, rearranging your life to keep her happy, and making her emotions more important than your own. Over time, she starts feeling that she doesn't need to put in effort, because you're always there. That predictability kills the spark. Think of a man named Ryan. When he started dating his girlfriend, he had a full schedule: work, gym, hobbies, and friends. She loved how focused and independent he was. But as the relationship went on, he began prioritizing her over everything else. He skipped workouts to be with her, canceled plans with friends if she was free, and constantly checked in to make sure she was okay. Instead of feeling loved, she began to feel smothered. The man she was drawn to, the one with his own life, slowly disappeared. And with him, so did the attraction. The truth is, attraction thrives on polarity. A woman wants to feel that you choose her, not that you need her. When you care in a healthy way, you still maintain your identity, your boundaries, and your life outside of her. That independence is what makes your care meaningful, because it comes from a man who has options, not a man who's desperate to keep her. If you catch yourself caring to the point of losing your own priorities, it's time to pull back. Give her space to wonder about you, to think about you, and to miss you. Caring for someone doesn't mean giving up yourself. It means bringing the best version of yourself to the table. That's what keeps her interested. 2. Indifference creates desire. There's a certain kind of pull that comes from a man who isn't emotionally dependent on a woman's attention. That pull is born from indifference, not coldness, not disrespect, but the ability to remain unaffected, whether she's all over you or pulling away. When a man can genuinely be okay either way, it changes the dynamic completely. Indifference makes her curious. Most men, when they like a woman, start signaling it in obvious ways. Constant communication, quick replies, over-accommodation. It's predictable, and predictability kills excitement. But when you're indifferent to the ups and downs, when you don't rush to react to every shift in her mood or behavior, you stand out from the rest. You're not another man trying to win her approval. You're a man living on his own terms. This doesn't mean you don't care at all. It means your mood, your actions, and your self-worth aren't tied to how she treats you that day. You're steady. You don't panic if she's not as responsive. You don't get overly excited when she gives you extra attention. That emotional stability signals strength, and strength is attractive. Many men make the mistake of thinking desire comes from showing more and more affection. But desire often grows in the space between two people, in the moments when she's left wondering where your head is at. Indifference creates that space. It leaves room for her to invest, to think, and to pursue. If you're always available and emotionally invested at every turn, she never gets the chance to feel that curiosity or longing. Indifference removes that constant validation and forces her to experience the absence of your attention. That's when desire starts to build. This approach also protects you. When you can stay indifferent to emotional swings, you avoid the trap of overreacting or overcommitting based on temporary feelings. You stop making decisions out of fear of losing her and start making decisions that align with your standards. For a man, this is about mindset. You're not here to prove yourself. You're not here to constantly reassure her. You're here to live your life, maintain your focus, and let the right people, including her, fit into it. If she's truly interested, indifference doesn't push her away. It draws her in. When she realizes she can't fully predict you or control your emotions, she starts paying more attention. That's the quiet power of indifference. It makes her want to earn the attention you don't give freely. 3. Chasing makes you weak. When a man chases, he flips the natural dynamic of attraction on his head. Instead of two people meeting on equal ground, he puts himself in the position of proving his worth while she sits back and evaluates. That imbalance is where attraction starts to fade, because women are drawn to men who are already sure of themselves, not men begging for their attention. Chasing signals that you see her as the prize and yourself as the one trying to qualify. It might not be what you mean to communicate, but that's how it comes across. Every time you send another message after she's gone quiet, every time you rearrange your plans to see her, every time you push for more of her time than she's giving, you're telling her without words, "I'm more invested than you are." The problem with this is that it removes the challenge and excitement for her. If she knows you're willing to do whatever it takes to keep her, she doesn't have to earn your attention. It's already guaranteed. And when something is guaranteed, it stops feeling valuable. Men often think persistence shows confidence, but when it comes to attraction, over-persistence shows neediness. Confidence is when you express interest, but remain completely fine if she doesn't reciprocate. Chasing, on the other hand, shows that her response determines your mood and actions, and that's a weakness she can sense. There's also the psychological effect it has on you. Chasing puts you in a constant state of waiting and reacting. Instead of focusing on your purpose, your goals, and your own life, you're focused on how to get her to give you more attention. Over time, this makes you lose the very traits that drew her in: independence, ambition, and self-control. When you stop chasing, you regain control over the interaction. You stop broadcasting desperation and start communicating that your attention must be earned just like hers. This balance keeps attraction alive because it shows you value yourself as much as, if not more than, you value her. If you've been chasing in the past, it's worth asking yourself why. Were you trying to prove your worth? Were you afraid she'd lose interest if you didn't keep showing up? That's not how strong attraction works. Attraction grows when both people feel they have something valuable to bring to the table, not when one person is doing all the running. The man who can walk away instead of chasing is the man who holds the power. And in relationships, holding your power is the only way to keep respect and desire intact. 4. Focus on your life first. One of the biggest mistakes men make in dating and relationships is shifting their entire focus onto the woman they're interested in. When that happens, their own goals, routines, and priorities take a back seat. It might feel like dedication, but in reality, it often leads to losing the very qualities that made them attractive in the first place. Focusing on your life first doesn't mean ignoring her or acting like she doesn't matter. It means keeping your personal mission, growth, and fulfillment as the foundation of your identity. A man without a sense of direction is like a ship without a destination. He's easily swayed by whatever comes his way, including a relationship. When you maintain focus on your own life, you project stability and self-sufficiency. These are traits women naturally respect because they show that you're not looking for someone to complete you. You're already complete. This doesn't just benefit attraction, it benefits you as a man. Your career, your health, your skills, your passions. All of these are investments that make you stronger, more confident, and more fulfilled regardless of your relationship status. Too many men get caught in the trap of centering their days around how much time they can spend with her, what she's thinking, or how she's feeling. When she becomes your sole source of motivation, you give her the power to shape your mood and direction. That's a dangerous place to be, because if she pulls away, you're left with nothing to fall back on. By putting your life first, you create a natural sense of intrigue. She sees that you have a world that doesn't revolve around her, and that's compelling. It tells her that you're with her because you choose to be, not because you have nothing else going for you. This mindset also prevents burnout in relationships. When both people maintain their own lives and identities, they bring more energy and value into the connection. If you abandon your life to merge completely with hers, the relationship becomes imbalanced, and imbalanced relationships rarely last. Ask yourself, if everything ended tomorrow, would your life still have purpose and drive? If the answer is no, then you've placed too much of yourself into someone else's hands. The solution isn't to pull away emotionally, it's to build a life so fulfilling that no single person can make or break it. When you focus on your life first, you're not just building attraction, you're building the kind of life you'll be proud to live with or without her. And that is the ultimate position of strength. 5. Stop seeking her approval. Seeking a woman's approval is one of the fastest ways to lose her respect. The moment your actions, decisions, and even personality start bending to get her validation, you send the message that her opinion matters more than your own standards. That's not the position of a man who leads. That's the position of a man who follows. Approval seeking can be subtle. It's not always obvious begging or pleading. Sometimes it's over-explaining yourself when you don't need to. Sometimes it's changing your opinion to match hers, so there's no disagreement. Sometimes it's doing things you don't even want to do, just so she'll see you in a better light. Over time, that behavior chips away at your authenticity. Think about The Godfather, when Vito Corleone meets with people asking him for favors on his daughter's wedding day. He's calm, measured, and respectful, but he's not trying to impress anyone. People seek his approval, not the other way around. That's the energy you want to carry. When a man holds himself with quiet confidence and doesn't need others to validate his worth, people naturally respect him more. In relationships, the same principle applies. A woman may like you, but if she feels you're constantly angling for her praise or trying to prove yourself, the dynamic shifts. You become predictable. You become safe in the wrong way. Not the safe she trusts, but the safe she takes for granted. When you stop seeking her approval, you start making decisions that align with who you are, not who you think she wants you to be. You speak your mind without fear of disagreement. You set boundaries without feeling guilty. You maintain your interests and values, even if they don't always match hers. This doesn't mean being stubborn for the sake of it. It means valuing your own judgment enough to lead your life without waiting for her to give you the green light. Ironically, this is what often makes her see you as more desirable. You're not bending to fit her mold. You're inviting her into your world as it is. The man who seeks approval is like a salesman trying too hard to close a deal. The man who doesn't need approval is like a trusted advisor. He knows his value and lets others come to him. In dating, that shift changes everything. So stop chasing her validation. When you hold your ground, you'll notice something. The less you try to win approval, the more you naturally get it. 6. Let her invest in you. One of the most overlooked parts of building and keeping attraction is allowing her to put effort into the relationship. Too many men take on the role of doing all the chasing, planning, initiating, and giving, while she simply receives. This creates an imbalance, where you're the one working to maintain the connection, and she's simply reacting to it. When you don't let her invest in you, you remove the feeling of ownership and pride she could have in the relationship. People value what they contribute to, not just what they're given. If everything is handed to her without any effort on her part, she might enjoy the attention at first, but over time it becomes less meaningful. Letting her invest means giving her space and opportunities to put in her own energy. It could be initiating conversations, making plans, or showing appreciation without being prompted. This isn't about playing games or withholding affection. It's about creating a dynamic where she feels like a participant, not just a recipient. When a woman invests in you, she starts to feel more connected. She has something to lose if things fall apart, which naturally makes her more attentive to keeping the connection alive. If you're the only one giving, she can walk away without feeling the weight of what she's leaving behind. This also changes the way she perceives you. A man who allows her to invest is a man who respects himself enough not to carry the entire relationship on his back. He's not desperate for her attention. He's confident enough to let her show her interest through action. That's a subtle but powerful message. Men who understand this principle know that attraction isn't just about chemistry, it's about balance. You give, she gives. You put in effort, she matches it. This back and forth keeps the energy alive and prevents one-sided dynamics from taking over. It's important to remember that letting her invest doesn't mean testing her constantly or playing hard to get. It means maintaining standards for how you want to be treated and making sure the relationship operates in a way that benefits both people. If you notice she's never initiating, never giving, and never contributing, it's a sign to reevaluate. When you allow her to invest, you create a deeper bond and ensure the relationship has a solid foundation. She's not just there for what she can get. She's there because she's put part of herself into it. That's when attraction becomes more than a passing feeling. 7. Walk away without fear. One of the strongest positions a man can be in is the ability to walk away from a woman without hesitation when the relationship stops serving his well-being or aligning with his standards. Yet many men struggle with this because they are emotionally tied to the idea of holding on no matter what. That attachment often keeps them stuck in situations where they are undervalued, disrespected, or simply unhappy. Here's the reality. If you can't walk away, you're not really in control. You're holding on because of fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of not finding someone else. Fear of losing what you've already invested. But fear-based attachment isn't love. It's dependency. And dependency makes you compromise in ways that slowly chip away at your self-respect. If you're being honest with yourself, you might admit you've stayed in situations longer than you should have because you didn't want to face the discomfort of starting over. That's something a lot of men need to wake up to. By staying in a situation out of fear, you're trading your peace, your growth, and your dignity for short-term comfort. That's not strength. That's avoidance. Walking away without fear doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care about yourself enough to step out when the situation is no longer healthy. It's about recognizing that your value doesn't drop because one person doesn't see it. And it's about trusting yourself to rebuild and move forward. Here's something to reflect on. If she knew you'd never leave, no matter how she treated you, how do you think that would affect her behavior over time? People treat us according to the standards we enforce, not the ones we talk about. If you never enforce them, you can't expect them to be respected. This is where men need to take action. Stop clinging to the idea that the right move is always to make it work. Sometimes the right move is to close the door and move on. Not because you're bitter, but because you understand that your life is bigger than one relationship. If you build the mindset that you can walk away from anything that doesn't align with your values, you'll notice something powerful. Women respond differently to men who aren't afraid to lose them. Not out of arrogance, but because that self-respect is rare and magnetic. So ask yourself, if things ended today, would you be okay? If the answer is no, it's time to start building yourself into a man who can confidently say yes. That's where true strength begins. If you've been paying attention, you now see the pattern. The men who hold their frame, stay focused on their own lives, and never give away all their power are the ones women respect and desire the most. The men who chase, overinvest, and seek approval are the ones who slowly fade into the background. Here's something you might not like but need to hear. Sometimes, the very reason she lost attraction is because you cared too much. Not in the sense of kindness or compassion, but in the sense of losing yourself in her. And once that happens, it's almost impossible to get back without rebuilding who you are. This isn't about turning into someone cold or bitter. It's about becoming a man who can give love without losing his identity. A man who chooses a woman but doesn't need her to feel complete. That's the balance that keeps attraction alive for years, not just weeks. I want you to think about where you stand right now. Are you leading with confidence and self-respect, or are you living for her attention? That answer will tell you everything about why your relationships succeed or fail. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever noticed a shift when you stopped overcaring? Have you experienced a woman becoming more interested the moment you stopped chasing? Share your story in the comments. I'll be reading and engaging with you because your insight might be exactly what another man needs to hear today.